Find the right light there. Well, good evening, Crane. It's around about 4:15 on the afternoon of Tuesday, the 20th of November 2018. And this is an update on the court case. It's a sentencing hearing for David Noakes. Now, David and his former wife, Lorraine, have previously pleaded guilty on the advice of their legal team to manufacturing and supplying an unlicensed medicine. And that unlicensed medicine is GC meth. And, for those of you who are in the same position as David was back in early 2009, will not know that GC meth is a proven, extremely effective cancer treatment. Now, David became aware of GC meth following an event at the University of Ghent in Belgium back in July of 2009, when some guy called Ian Crane was giving a presentation on Codex Alimentarius, the agenda by the corporatocracy to literally wipe out all natural food products and all natural healthcare products. And I made a throwaway comment about GC meth being a known cure for cancer that nobody was aware of. Unbeknown to me, David at the time thought that was a pretty bold statement, but went away and did his own research and saw him truly the case. And as he stated when he took the stand after lunch today, the reason that he wanted to research it was because if the claim was true, then he wanted to do whatever he could to help relieve humanity's suffering. So earlier in the case this morning, we heard the expert witness, who I'll speak more about a bit later, but he made the observation. He said it's impossible to address multiple conditions such as cancer, leukemia, Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, AIDS, and so on and so forth. And actually the judge stopped him at that point and said, I think you're straining beyond the limits of your expertise, and which he acknowledged that he was indeed. Well, after lunch, David got the opportunity when the judge asked him, he said, but if you have come across this miracle cure, why is it that the NHS are not embracing this miracle cure? And why is it not so freely available on the NHS? And David made the very poignant statement that Big Pharma and their government representatives, the MHRA, the Medicines and Healthcare Regulatory Authority or Agency, want to maintain the status quo. And that status quo, of course, is protected by the Cancer Act of 1939. And the Cancer Act was bought to protect the radium industry. So here we are 80 years later, and this court case is absolutely seminal. Now, in the 2 hours, the judge has risen early because he had a personal commitment, but just in the space of 2 hours, it has become very, very apparent, I think, to everyone in the courtroom that David Noakes really knows his stuff. And, he doesn't claim to be a scientist, but he employed scientists and obviously made a very real effort to educate himself. And he has been leading the court through the scientific material, which is effectively suppressed by the corporatocracy, because the corporatocracy do not want people to become healthy. Basically, the whole objective is to get people onto the medicine's revenue stream as quickly as possible, so that for their entire time on this mortal coil, one way or another, they are effectively contributing directly to the revenue stream of Big Pharma. So tomorrow is absolutely seminal, because David is only partway through giving his evidence. He will continue with his evidence tomorrow morning. The court will sit at 10 o'clock. But then, of course, he's going to be subjected to cross-examination by the Crown Prosecution Service, who are effectively representing not the people, and not even the Crown, but the corporatocracy. So let me make this observation. Anybody who has ever lost somebody to cancer, and that loss has probably been exacerbated by the only treatment that is offered, which is chemo and radiotherapy. And the statistic that David presented during the course of his evidence this afternoon is only 2.3% of people who receive chemo or radiotherapy actually survive. And he took us through the process of how GC-MAF effectively is destroyed by the poison, that Nagalese, within the body. And once that Nagalese can be dealt with an infusion of external GC-MAF, then basically that takes away, replenishes the body's own immune system and enables the body to deal with it. So obviously the cross-examination is going to be brutal. And I can certainly predict that the Crown prosecution team are going to be working late into the night to find ways to undermine the evidence given by David. So if you have lost anyone to cancer, or you know someone that's suffering from cancer, you know someone that is undergoing chemotherapy, and you know somebody who has resisted chemo and tried to effectively pursue other perhaps more natural means, but then resorted to chemo, they should be here tomorrow. That courtroom needs to be packed tomorrow, because the judge also made the observation is that, but if this miracle cure is available, why is it that the BBC and the mainstream media are not waxing lyrical about it and putting it out there? And David made the very astute observation that the media outlets are effectively controlled by the status quo. And Big Pharma spends a lot of money advertising its products in the mainstream media, and the mainstream outlets are not about to put those revenue streams at risk. So this courtroom needs to be absolutely heaving tomorrow morning. And let me tell you that the evidence that David is giving is absolutely dynamite. It's exposing the MHRA. It's exposing Big Pharma for what they are, which is effectively murderers. And those people who are supportive of the status quo, they are supportive of the MHRA, are effectively accessories to the murder of those people who unfortunately succumb to the cancer or to the chemo and to the radiotherapy. Now, towards the end of today, David was asked about his pricing structure. And, he explained that his pricing was basically set as per the market. There are other people providing GC-MAF, and he was effectively producing, in his opinion, a better product, and he wanted to make it more affordable. But he also made the observation, he said, we were treating 141 people in Guernsey for free until the MHRA insisted that Guernsey effectively shut him down. Now, Dr. Bradstreet was also a major customer, but Dr. Bradstreet was treating children with autism, or young adults as well with autism, and using GC-MAF. And David Noakes and his company Immunobiotech were providing 20% of the product for free, so that Dr. Bradstreet had the opportunity to treat those who didn't have the financial means to afford it. And Dr. Bradstreet, of course, was one of the alternative health practitioners that has unfortunately met with some pretty serious violence, and he was murdered in 2015. So, David has very much put his neck literally on the block here to bring about this product, bring it to market, and has endured almost 4 years of outright persecution by the MHRA, working on behalf, not of the people, not even of the government, but of the corporatocracy. So, Southwark Crown Court, tomorrow morning, the clock, The first part of the morning will be David continuing to give his evidence, being guided through his evidence by his barrister, who I have to say today has risen to the occasion, and a bit of a slow start perhaps, but is really doing an outstanding job. But perhaps the fireworks will be when David is cross-examined, and I have to say that I have every confidence in him being able to handle that, because it's very clear that David knows his stuff. So if you want to see firsthand this challenge, not just to the corporatocracy, not just to the MHRA, but this effort to return a degree of humanity to the healthcare system. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see what the BBC report, because the BBC have had a reporter in court both yesterday and today, and the only other journalist is from the court journalistic service, so that just goes out on an agency basis. But you can bet your bottom dollar that much of the evidence that it has shared, particularly the scientific evidence that he has shared over the past 2 hours, will barely get a mention. So I'm going to be back here at 9:30 tomorrow morning. So if you're able to come and join us, then, and if there's more than enough people to fill the court, then it seems that the judge will do whatever he needs to do to be able to accommodate those who turn up to support. And this is, I got to tell you, tomorrow's case is something that I really don't want to miss. And I have to say, my heart goes out to David, to his former wife, Lorraine, and to all the others that have been caught up in this persecution of the past 4 years. And of course, those people have contributed directly to the deaths of literally hundreds of thousands over that time, by refusing to acknowledge that there is a means to cure not just cancer, but many other diseases as well, by this, which effectively revitalizes the body's own natural immune system. So hopefully we'll see many of you tomorrow morning here at Southwark Crown Court. It's literally a couple hundred yards from London Bridge Station. If you head to HMS Belfast on the bank of the Thames, on the south bank of the Thames, the court is literally adjacent to HMS Belfast. And on behalf of David, thank you to all those people that have been in court over the last couple of days. We've had people come down from Wales, people come up from Southampton, from the southwest, from Essex. So, people have come in to support David from, some considerable distance. Obviously, not many people can be here every single day, but even if you can be here for a few hours, then obviously it's greatly appreciated. And like I say, tomorrow is going to be absolutely seminal. So thanks for joining me this afternoon, and I will be back, albeit with a brief live stream, tomorrow morning at 8:30. So catch you then. You have a good evening.